Coming up, why Qatar is not the right fit for Manchester United. As the Glazers try to spark a bidding war, how secret investors could keep the American owners at Old Trafford. And the effect Erik Ten Hag is having on the fight for control of our football club.
Hi there. As regular viewers of this channel know, I've long campaigned for the Glazers to sell Manchester United Football Club. I don't know anyone in the media who's campaigned more aggressively than I have, but I've never supported the idea of our beloved football club being swallowed up by the oligarchs of Qatar or any other state-controlled entity. Many will say I'm living in the past, refusing to accept the reality that football is now a multi-billion-dollar business dominated by the wealthy elite who control the world. It's no longer a sport, I'm told, where you can dream big and chase glory unless you've got the deepest pockets. So let's abandon our principles, forget our roots, and sell our soul to the highest bidder. Because then we can dominate football and reign supreme in a globalised world where virtual fans can boast about our wealth and achievements on social media. Is that really what we all want? Sadly, I've come to the conclusion that yes, that's what the majority of Manchester United followers have decided is the way forward. And that, I believe, does include a high percentage of match-day going fans here at Old Trafford. It's the popular view, but is it the right one?
Even though I know I'm fighting against the majority, I'll continue to campaign against what I see as the corruption of our beautiful game. I certainly don't believe Qatar is the only solution. If the Glazers have any kind of love for our football club that's already made them an absolute fortune, I'm urging them to at least consider what's in the best interests of us, the fans. As we identified many months ago on this channel, Sir Jim Ratcliffe is the man who can reconnect our football club with the fans.
What I've heard about his conversations, his private conversations at the club during his visit on Friday, he truly is a genuine fan who only wants the best for our football club. And he's clearly doing the best he can to take control. Personally, I've been coming here since the 60s, when Sir Jim was also a boyhood fan. I grew up watching those guys over there, Best, Law, Charlton, and a team of Busby babes moulded together by Sir Matt and his right-hand man, Jimmy Murphy, along with support from a loyal band of brothers. Football used to be a working-class sport that thrilled the masses, uniting fans from every country in the world. Footballers played for the glory and not the money. And our heroes were the footballing gods we came to worship here at the Theatre of Dreams. When our dreams became reality, we enjoyed the best days of our lives. In 1968, we became the first English club to win the European Cup, a decade after the horror of Munich. Then came 26 years without a league title until another dynasty was born, when Sir Alex Ferguson made Manchester United great again. It's now a whole decade since Fergie retired and we called ourselves champions of England. A fact made all the more painful because our noisy neighbours are now the dominant force fuelled by oil money from Abu Dhabi. I understand why the masses want to level the playing fields by joining that exclusive club of state-sponsored wealth. But how will it feel when silverware is tainted by the knowledge we had to sell our soul, making the Glazers enormously rich in the process? If we're heading towards a Premier League dominated by 3 Gulf states, then how much pride and pleasure will there really be to be part of that? When our biggest clubs broke away from the Football League to set up the Premier League, I don't think they imagined in 92-93 when that happened that 30 years later
we'll be talking about Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates and Qatar dominating English football for decades to come.
And that, my friends, is what the future now holds if we continue down this road.
We all celebrated when we blocked a European Super League, but where were the protests when we opened the door for the Premier League to become distorted and dominated by the oligarchs in the Gulf? Unless we rein in this domination, ultimately, I believe the Premier League's appeal will be tarnished.
And we will create conflict within the rest of Europe. The problem is that many fans don't really care about where the game is heading. They're only thinking about Manchester United. And that I understand, but I do fear the consequences of 18 years of mismanagement and neglect. It's left our football club vulnerable, and consequently, that's blinded many of our fans to reality. Sadly, our destiny is now in the hands of an American family who don't really care about the legacy and history of our football club or the sport itself. Leading the aborted Super League breakaway was proof of that fact. Making money has always been their primary motivation. To maximise their profits, they now have two choices, and the direction they take will affect the identity of our football club for many decades and the foreseeable future. The first option is to bring in new investors to fix the financial mess they've made of our football club. The alternative, of course, is to sell the football club lock, stock and barrel, and that's what most fans are hoping for. But with that in mind, the Glazers are doing their best to start a bidding war, and if that happens, we all know oil money will reign supreme. Here on Friday, we saw Sir Jim Ratcliffe make a very public visit when he became the final bidder to meet the club's management here at Old Trafford. Presentations made by the club to all the bidders are designed to encourage a bidding war between all the interested parties. That's what the Glazers are hoping for, and that's probably what's going to happen. We know the delegation from Qatar that came here on Thursday reported back to Sheikh Jassim, and he's the man, we're all told, who has the deepest pockets. What we don't know is the identity of all the other interested parties. In all, I'm told 7 delegations representing 7 different groups were given the official tour, not just Ratcliffe and the Qataris.
That, of course, includes potential investors and hedge fund operators who may offer the Glazers a way to prolong their involvement with our football club. I'm pretty sure all investors and bidders were shown detailed plans of how Old Trafford can be redeveloped. The club's investment in those plans is all part of what's up for sale. Significantly, the Glazers have been emboldened by the brilliant job being done by our new manager, Erik Ten Hag, since they announced they were inviting offers for Manchester United Football Club. On the back of their pre-season gamble of £220 million in the transfer market, Avram and Joel Glazer believe Ten Hag has massively increased the value of the club. And that increases the likelihood the brothers will opt for only a partial sale, unless they achieve their hugely inflated valuation of £6 billion. It's also obvious the club's fortunes have changed dramatically since Richard Arnold succeeded his much maligned predecessor, Ed Woodward. Not only has Arnold's first managerial appointment been instantly successful, he's facilitated a hugely improved record in the transfer market. It's ironic that just at the moment it looked like the Glazers had to sell to stop the club's decline, we're moving back in the right direction. For many fans who've campaigned to get the Glazers out, that's a bitter-sweet situation. And that all makes this an increasingly volatile moment in the club's history, especially as fans have intensified their protests inside the stadium. In the meantime, the one positive factor that gives me hope that the future is bright, whoever owns our football club, is embodied by one man, our manager, Erik Ten Hag. Whatever happens between now and the end of the season, I'm certain that Ten Hag is the manager who will make our football club great again. Personally, I'd like to see Erik carry on winning silverware without those achievements being claimed as bragging rights for the Gulf state of Qatar. Ultimately, I'd love to see a fan ownership model at this football club. Only then can our global fan base be truly represented. Whatever does happen, I'm certain our fans will always be vocal and will always support our football team. The good news is that the potential sale of the club has not had a negative effect on results. As we await news of who's best placed to buy the club following the extended deadline for the second round of bids, this is also a fight for the hearts and minds of our fan base. On that front, I'm encouraged by an interview Sir Jim Ratcliffe gave to the Wall Street Journal, describing Manchester United as a community asset rather than a financial one. Ratcliffe admits that bidding for Manchester United is an emotional decision and not a commercial one. What you don't want to do is pay stupid prices for things, because then you regret it subsequently, said Ratcliffe, whose company Ineos already has an impressive sporting portfolio. While he declined to discuss any specific financial details of his bid, Ratcliffe stressed his focus is enabling Manchester United to return to the pinnacle of football. Our interest in that club would be purely in winning things. That was how the British billionaire explained his motivation for his bid via his company Ineos. Ultimately, as fans, that's what we want to hear, and I'm sure our players do too.